faked a flat tire, and let my group project freeloaders crash and burn. Group projects have always been a gamble. You either land a solid crew, or you're shackled to dead weight, dragging you down while you do all the work. I had the misfortune of landing in the latter category, 3 lazy classmates in a senior-level course where the group project was 40% of our final grade. From the moment we got assigned to our groups, the writing was on the wall. In week 1, I created a group chat and sent out a schedule. No response. I followed up with the beginnings of our research outline and asked everyone to pick topics they could handle. Again, silence. I figured maybe they were slow to warm up, so I took initiative and started piecing together research on my own, thinking they'd eventually kick in. Nope, I tried everything. Emails, texts, even walking up to them after class. Every time they promised they'd help or show up to our library meetings, they flaked. One guy said he was waiting for inspiration. Another told me he worked best under pressure. Code for, I'm not doing anything. At first, I was just annoyed. But after 3 weeks of begging for help while drowning in research papers and citations, I went from annoyed to infuriated. Despite doing 100% of the work, I still tried to help them save face. I made our entire slide deck, built the visual aids, printed out the poster boards, and even emailed them short talking points for the sections I had assigned them. I figured I could carry the actual presentation if they just memorized their lines. Still, they blew off our final prep meeting the night before. So the next morning, I made a decision. If they wanted the glory of standing up there and presenting a project they hadn't lifted a finger to help with, fine, they'd do it alone. I wasn't about to babysit grown adults who thought they could coast to a grade off my back. Here's where the revenge comes in. We were only allowed to reschedule presentations with a valid excuse and documented proof. Unexcused absences meant a 0 on the project. No exceptions. So, I decided I'd conveniently have a flat tire an hour before class. I lived out of town, so this wasn't hard to fake. I went to a local junkyard, bought the cheapest beat-up used tire they had, got a receipt and everything, took some photos of it in the backseat of my car, and emailed my professor saying I'd had a blowout on the way to campus and was waiting on roadside assistance. I attached the receipt and photos. He replied kindly, saying I could do a solo presentation during his office hours later that week. Then I sat back and waited for the show to implode. The aftermath was better than I imagined. One of the group members emailed me later that day in a panic asking where I was. I told them to check with the professor. A friend of mine in class told me the group froze during the presentation. One girl tried to read off the slides and got cut off by the professor. Another tried to pass my talking points off as their own but couldn't answer any follow-up questions. They stumbled, stuttered, and ultimately admitted that I was the one who did the project. The professor was apparently unimpressed. Not only did they likely fail the project, but considering their low grades in the class already, it might have cost them their entire semester. Meanwhile, I presented one-on-one during office hours. Since I knew the material inside and out because I wrote the entire thing, I crushed it, got full marks. A few weeks later, the professor emailed me privately and said he appreciated my honesty and how I handled the situation. He didn't get into detail, but I suspect he may have spoken to them about academic integrity, or at least gave them a rude awakening.